Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another week, another episode of that Witch Podcast. I'm Danny. I'm your host, your mentor, your instructor, and guide in all things witchcraft, magic, and astrology. And with me today, I am so excited. YouTube, welcome my first guest on the show. Kailee, please introduce yourself for all of our lovely listeners.
Yes, hi. So my name is Kailee, and I am the owner of eclecticdesigns.co, which is a brand and website design studio. And I'm located here in Denver, which is very fortunate because Danny is too, so it's amazing we get to hang out outside of doing business. But I work with passionate entrepreneurs, creatives, and holistic providers to really realign with their branding and learn how to shine in their industry with loving it at the same time.
Yes. Kailee she was literally the first person who bridged the gap of like practical business practice and fundamentals with the spiritual and intuitive side of my business, because most designers don't understand or have the same appreciation for that part that you do. And so I think that's part of why I was able to show up all the way, because I trusted you, because I felt so comfortable, because a lot of us in the spiritual industry, in the professional spiritual industry, we don't feel super supported when it comes to the business aspect of things. That's definitely why I talk about it here on the podcast, because Kailee and I both know, and we will be talking about this today, we see this happen time and time again, where these business fundamentals and these branding crucial fundamentals are totally bypassed or neglected altogether, or people are taken advantage of by someone who's saying that they're a designer and they're not a professional designer, right? They're not educated. They aren't able to provide what a designer and really brand coach should be able to provide. It's really crazy how often this is happening.
Yeah, so I have actually had, you're not the first one, I've had a couple clients who have come to me, and I'm going to use one of my favorite clients as an example. She was following me through social media, and we'd never talked before, but she was interacting with my stuff. I knew a little bit about her, but she reached out and she said, "Hey, I'm here in Denver too, and can we just go get breakfast?" And I was like, I love breakfast, so absolutely. So we met
If
downtown.
nothing else, we'll get breakfast.
If anything, please just come get coffee with me. I love humans, so of course I was like, absolutely, like I'd love to. And I met her and our souls just clicked, and we were both so bubbly, we hugged as if we knew each other forever. And during that breakfast, and this is something that has completely changed my outlook in general as a designer, is she was already working with another brand designer.
Oh,
and okay. While she was talking about it, she's like, "Can I talk to you about it?" I was like, "Oh, absolutely. Like, I nerd out about this stuff, please." And then she started crying, and she said that, she was so frustrated because this designer was creating something that didn't align with her, but she's such a sweet soul. And I run into this too, is you get nervous to say, "Hey, I don't like this," because you're paying them.
That's
and you're
me.
Working with them and you're wanting to trust them. And so we're going through this, she's talking to me, and I didn't say, "Oh, well, ditch that other designer and work with me." I just was like, and then she was like, "Can I show you what she's designed?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So we looked at what she designed, and all I said was, "Does this feel like who you are?" And she was like, "No."
Because it was probably beautiful. Like, it was probably still a nice looking brand. But exactly, does this even resonate with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the colors in it, I'll never forget, they were yellow and gray.
Oh my goodness.
And she's a holistic practitioner as well.
Oh.
And I was like, gray?
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want gray in your brands. But one thing led to another, and she ended up deciding to let go of that designer and work with me, which I do want to put out there. I have had another client who's worked with me, and she said, "Hey, what we're designing together isn't working. I'm going to go work with another designer." I just want to put this out in the world, and if you're a brand designer or whoever you are, if someone does not want to work with you, do not take it personally anymore.
Yes.
Let them go, because you need to leave room
Yep.
not only for their energy but for your own, and just
Totally.
respect them as a human to let go of that. Because my past self would have probably panicked, went into panic mode, and been like,
Same.
no, I have to keep you as a client. But it's okay to let them go.
Because that's not the point of the type of entrepreneurship that you and I are in.
Yeah.
I didn't get into entrepreneurship and owning my own business to like make it big and hit it rich, and like I did this because I care so much about something. I care so much about offering what I offer to help and transform other people's lives and business. And so, you know, we charge the money that we do so that we have a sustainable business, so that we can show up and offer the services and the quality and value that we do. But at the same time, like, I just think that we get really, really lost in it can get sort of fuzzy when you start taking things personal like that. We don't have to all love each other. That's okay. It's about working with the aligned people, whether it's colleagues or clients, or because I very much see Kailee and I as both colleagues and clients of one another. It depends on what we're doing that day.
Yeah.
But I had the same moment where I was booking people out of desperation. Like, I'll call it what it is. Pure financial desperation, where it was like, it doesn't matter who you are, if you're going to pay a price that you will pay me. I guess you tell me what that is, because I had no confidence. Yeah, exactly. And finally you get to this point where you're like, this is serving no one. I'm not helping you transform. So my services aren't even of value to you. And you're not resonating with, exactly. I totally, completely feel that.
Yeah. And I think after working with her, and I worked with her before I worked with you, and what I've learned as a designer compared to what I learned in school, so what I've learned as an entrepreneur compared to what I've learned as in school, I came out of school having a completely different mindset than what I do now. I thought that as a graphic designer, I specialized in something, so I was to tell people what was right and what was wrong. And I've had to teach myself to completely let go of that, because when I have someone else who is so passionate and so heart-centered in what they do in front of me, I want to honor that, and I want to honor who they are as a person. And that's what I love that you said, is you came to me and you were nervous through you having like your own spiritual practices and stuff like that. And I've had clients who have come to me and they're like, I was so nervous to approach a brand designer because of what I specialize in, because they're afraid of the judgment, or they're afraid that they're going to tell them, oh no, this is what you need. And it's
or
not...
they'll water down what we do, or you know what I mean. I think that a lot. I worried about that a lot, that someone would advise me to like tone it down on the witch side and just use the word spiritual. You know what I mean? I was really worried about that. Not with you, with like the potential of hiring somebody that didn't understand.
Yeah, and it happens, you know what I mean? Because I do believe that in school we're taught, like, we're supposed to tell you how to have a successful brand, and we know who your ideal audience is. And I've learned time and time again with the holistic and heart-centered people that I work with, is it's not that way. It's about me understanding who you are as a person and understanding your dreams and your goals and who you want to work with. And then I help you bridge the gap and bring that, your soul essentially, into a visual representation to then attract the people you want to.
Exactly. That's what I talked about in the masterclass, and that's what I talked about on part 1 of this little mini episode marketing social media series that I'm doing. Is there are a ton, and I mean kind of an overabundance, of designers that will make you a really pretty, beautiful, professional, and frankly trendy looking brand. And they will take none of who you are into consideration. Like literally, they won't. I remember one of the first things that you asked me at our discovery call was my favorite colors. And I remember you telling me why that was so important. And it was the first time someone really educated me and was like, look, big corporations, big business, their brand is, to create this brand that, let's be honest, is like a separate entity than who's actually running it, right? Like, you want to really visualize their product or their brand as this whole separate created entity that serves its own purpose in the world of business and marketing. That's all fine. However, you were the first one that taught me that this is a different world of business. This is a whole different country of business, is the small business realm and the entrepreneur realm. You're marketing yourself. Even if you're a maker, even if you aren't a service provider and you provide a product, you're still marketing yourself. Your brand is you. I have been talking to so many people about this lately, but I'm really excited to see that there's this uprising trend in people caring about where their money goes and caring about who they're giving their money to, what that product is, what does it mean to them. You know what I mean? We're becoming so much more mindful around our purchases, and this means, folks, we have to be more mindful in our business practices too, because people are going to see right fucking through you immediately. I will never forget one of the first business courses I took said, at the beginning of creating a business, you have a choice to show up as yourself or to choose to be somebody else. And you can choose either way. But I will never forget, he was like, I will tell you it's going to be a hell of a lot harder and probably not sustainable long term at all if you try to show up as anything other than who you are. And hearing that is when I knew, if I'm ever going to invest in somebody, it has to be someone that has a holistic approach the way that I do. It had to be.
Yes.
And they're out there. Look, are you guys so excited to finally meet her? I talk about you all the time. Everyone's going to be like,
I'm so excited.
You're like mini famous.
Oh, I'm so excited. I never would have fathomed that I'd be working with the most amazing magical clients that I am today. It is such an honor, and it's an honor to be sitting here with you, listening to this podcast, sitting here with Danny. It's incredible. But what she was saying, I have been there as well. So just a little back history of me. I'm not going to go too far back. I also have a podcast called the Eclectic Universe Podcast. Episode 1, you could listen to the first episode. That's going to be the long term. I don't want to fill your ears with that. But I went to college at an art institute, got my degree, graphic and web design. Now, with that being said, you can work with a designer that has not gotten a degree. There are some phenomenal designers who are self-taught. So having a degree, I just like to put my background in.
But they have the education. Whether it was self-taught or they went to school, they have the education.
Yes.
That's the key part, okay? Yes. They do have to know what they're doing.
Yes.
Please make sure they know what they're doing.
There's so much understanding, which we'll dive into kind of like the strategic side of it. But went and got my degree, and I was so confused on what I wanted to do. I wasn't really taught in school, like, this is exactly what you're going to do with your degree when you get out. It was just kind of like, let's hope there's something out there. And I had freelance clients while I was in school, and I enjoyed that. And at first I was like, well, that's not going to be sustainable. I'm charging $150 for a logo.
Yeah.
$150 for a logo.
Yeah.
I don't charge that anymore. Sorry.
That's like those of us that were like literally trying to pay bills off of $5 readings. Oh my God. And then one day you do the math and you're like, I have to book like 500 clients.
Yes, we want sustainable, okay? We don't, not cheaper is better. So I immediately got out of school. I was very fortunate. I got a corporate job, and I was working for a transportation company as their marketing design coordinator. And that job was not for me. In short, you'll learn that if you listen to episode 1 on my podcast. But I did learn a lot of strategic things. And this is when I was working with Danny, where that really came into play, is understanding how brands are different per business, per person. So one of the biggest things was, with Danny, she is her own person. She's her own entity. I need to bring that to life. Whereas when I was working at corporate, they had numerous branches and everything had to fit under a branch, which was really funny because their branches tried to be their own entity, which does not work.
Oh.
Besides the point. So I went from corporate. I was there for about 2.5 years, and then for the first time in my life, I got let go. And I got let go because of COVID. Honestly, though, it was the universe telling me, girl, it is time. It is time to start your own business.
The cliche blessing in disguise crap, and you're like,
yes,
okay, universe.
It was so bad there. I would cry in the bathrooms. It was bad. So I ended up taking the leap. I was on unemployment, which I was so grateful for. So I had the financial means to really start to invest and decide I wanted to go full in with my business. So that's a little bit of my background. But the reason I want to bring up corporate is there was a lot of strategy that I learned that I've taken into working with my clients. But I had to rewire my brain.
Yeah, I believe it.
I had to let go of so many corporate ideas of everything had to be strict and stuffy and
rigid and formal. Totally.
Yes. And so with designing my own business and my own brand, if you go back on Instagram, because I don't delete anything on Instagram, I love to see the transition and the journey. So if you go all the way back on my Instagram, you'll see my old branding and my old logo. Nothing compared to who I am now.
Right.
And I was getting lost in trends too. I was looking at other designers in my industry and I said, oh, they're successful, and I put successful in quotation marks because I think everybody just defines their own success.
I could not agree more. Yep.
And
prosperity does not just mean dollar amount in your bank account, for example.
Right. Exactly. And I saw them doing these very minimal designs, these very minimal brands for themselves because they kept saying, you have to have a minimal brand because you want your portfolio to stand out.
Playing it safe. Quite honestly, that's playing it safe to me. Do what everyone else is doing.
Mm-hmm. And maybe it works for a lot of designers, but for me, it felt like I was taking my personality, and I've worked with Danny on this, from my childhood. I've always been this very eclectic, very flamboyant, very colorful person, and for years I was repressing who I was. And with that branding, I was doing the same thing. I created a logo that was more masculine, where I identified more feminine. You were showing up
as how you thought people wanted you to show up. Instead of showing up as yourself and going, the right people are going to see this and genuinely love it and connect with it. That was the biggest moment for me.
Yeah.
I don't have to show up as anybody else's idea except for my own idea of myself. That's when you finally you know that, but it really clicks one day and you're like, oh. And by the way, it makes everything about your business so much easier
but fun. And that's
it bonds you. What I told everyone in the masterclass is I felt like it is like getting to know your favorite character in your book and forming a bond. Like when my business is its own living, breathing like baby of mine. It's like from me. It's directly rooted in part of me. But I put so much energy into it now that it is its own thriving thing now. That's what good branding does.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it does.
And that's why you are one of my dream clients.
You're the best.
Really, though, because I want to work with people who love what they do and they're passionate. And we do this because we know that it's, A, we're meant to do it. It feels right. We feel aligned. But also, B, we know it's making a difference in other people's lives. We're doing this for the greater good. We know that it's beneficial to others as well. And that's who my dream clients are. People who want to embody who they are and still make a difference in other people's lives.
So Kailee and I come from opposite sides. So she comes from this very well-educated business and branding side of things. And that's where I really sought out her services. I was like, I need you. In my journal, it's upstairs. Damn it. I was like, I could even show everybody. It's the Magic of Eye Planner. Sorry, I left it upstairs. In my journal, because in the Magic of Eye Planner, the link's in the description below, don't forget. There is a yearly map out, okay? And it takes you through your personal, your professional, all these different areas of life, your visions, your intentions, and goals, okay? And then it really helps filter those down into actionable monthly steps and goals. I wrote in the last week of December in there, I was like, I will be booking Kailee services. I did. I was like, this is happening. And I, at the time, was like, in a couple months, I'm going to do this, and I called her the following week.
I think my favorite...
I am kind of that person, but I was like, no, I'm going to do it.
I think my favorite thing is, so Danny and I knew each other before working together. Not very tightly, though. I think we'd hung
few
out
times.
Yeah, only hung out a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew who you were, but it was so cool. I'll never forget. I told Zach, who is my boyfriend, I was like, Danny's following me. And then I was like, she has her own business. There's so much about you I didn't know. I was like, she has her own business and she has like her own shop. We should go to the shop. And so I was learning about you as we were going to, which I thought was so cool and magical. Like it was a beautiful process, because knowing who you were as a person first, like I knew you, but I didn't know who you were.
Exactly.
And now that I've gotten to know you, I just love you.
Oh, I love you so much. It was really, this is what happens, by the way, when you attract your dream clients. This is what happens. You have a soul connection. You both, even you, the service provider, your clients transform your lives. That's why we do what we do. That's the point of being a soulpreneur, whatever that goofy hashtag is, but you know what I'm trying to say. But being an intuitive entrepreneur, like, you really do fill each other's cups. It is a beautiful example of the divine energy exchange, because Kailee, opposite, like I said, she came like, look, there are roots here in spirituality, but I don't know where to go. I haven't really explored it yet, but I'm definitely interested. And so Kailee was actually, total coincidence, one of my very, 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 very first tarot clients ever, outside of like friends and family, because I was just practicing at the time. And so I met Kailee through my sister-in-law, who would have, when she lived in Colorado, she would have the best themed parties ever. We're so sad about it. Rachel, we love you. But that's how we knew each other. And so one of you, I can't remember who, but Rachel came to me and said, hey, my friends were wondering if you would bring your cards and do readings for everybody. And I was like, actually, I would love the practice, because I was finally getting ready to start potentially offering professionally. And it was exactly what you described. We did know each other, but also not super, super well. So it was perfect, because I was like, they're kind of like strangers, but also I kind of know them, so they're not full-on strangers, so I'm not terrified. And Kailee's reading was just like on point. And you know what's funny is I didn't know that at the time, because you didn't say very much. You were just like, okay, that really fits, thank you. And that was pretty much all. You were very reserved, and I was like, I hope that was a good. Okay.
I'm gonna get a little personal here.
Do it, please.
So,
that's what we do around here.
When I met Danny, I don't want to cry, so I'm gonna take a moment.
If it makes you feeling better, totally have cried multiple times on the podcast. Okay. We cried down here in the cave. That's what we do.
It's good. It's such a safe place. I think that's why, like, my body's like, it's okay if you do. So when I had this reading with Danny, my dad had recently passed away, and at this time I was only 22. Now
and I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that until we started working together.
Yeah, I didn't tell anyone. I was very brief, because I always found it weird to be like, this is a Halloween party, but yeah, my dad passed away.
I mean, touche. It's hard. Engraving stuff is hard.
And, now my ear's ringing. Okay, give me a second.
Your dad's right there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, tell the story. So, he had recently passed away, and I was 22. I had become the primary, I don't know the technical term, like the person that was in charge of everything at 22. So I was dealing...
I know what it's called, but I can't think of it, but I know what you're talking about.
So I was dealing with his finances, and long story short, it was a mess. It caused a lot of family turmoil with people who I thought had my back for a very long time. These are family members that I loved so much, and it was like a 180 turn. And being 22 and losing my dad, and then also having family members who I really loved turn against me, it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. And so when Danny was doing these readings, and I have always been a spiritual person, but like I always had it kind of repressed. It was kind of like secret. Like I was like, oh, nobody. I'm spiritual and I love my crystals.
That's most of us. Yep, that's most of us, totally.
So when Danny came in and was like, I'm going to do a reading, I was like, okay. So I didn't tell her much, but I did.
Your questions were they were specific in a good way for tarot. Like you needed kind of specific questions. But I literally knew none of any of that. She didn't tell me, you're such a Pisces moon. You were just like, oh, yes, I'll be having a reading. Here are my... And I was so curious. I was like, can I please know more? Because I'm just curious. But no, I knew nothing. I just had to take the whole thing on faith. Oh, it was terrifying.
I did very broad questions because I was like...
We're trying to be private about it.
Well, and also our friends were sitting around the table.
Well, exactly. You're in the middle. That's what I mean. We were all at a table, and you're in the middle of grieving. Like... one of the hardest deaths you could ever possibly have to grieve. I don't blame you at all.
I just want you guys to picture me sitting here at this table asking these hard questions and the type of emotions that were like running through my body. And I was like, okay, we're going to stay real strong
You're
right now.
such a Virgo too. This is the exact perfect example of a Virgo sun with a Pisces moon who's like, I need to detach from my emotions, and also they are boiling inside of me.
Yes, and once I did that reading with you, it really stuck with me, and I'll never forget one of the cards you pulled, because the question I asked was, with a family situation I'm in right now, I think I asked something like, is it going to turn out okay? Or like something in that type of realm, and you pulled the card, and you might know what card it is, but it had two people on each side, and everything was balanced, and they were holding, I think, cups or something.
Sounds like 2 cups.
Yeah, and so, but they were different colors, and they were facing away from each other. So I'll never forget, you told me, everything's going to turn out okay. Follow what's in your heart. Follow your intuition with it. Things are going to end up opposite-sided, but things are going to end up fair. And that's, the whole time I was going through this, the situation with everything I was going through was like a 4-year process. It was a long, maybe 3-year, but it was a long process. I kept hearing your voice pop up, kept seeing that card pop up, because I kept thinking like, okay, follow my intuition, and that's exactly how it turned out. Rather, other people think it was fair. I wake up every single day and know that I did it in my best interest, and everything was done on fair playing ground.
It's really, I love mine and Kaylee's individual stories with each other, because again, this is what I'm talking about with this transformation that you both offer each other, because I've told you guys many times, I literally wouldn't have the business success I'm having had I not booked Kaylee's Design to Shine. Literally. No fucking way. I know that so wholly in my soul, it's not even funny, because I know what was happening before. That's why. Trust me, there was a lot of like scrambling behind the scenes. If I looked like I knew what I was doing on the surface back then, I did not. And at the same time, on the flip side of it, I think that no matter what kind of service you offer, but especially us tarot readers and astrologers that start out in the high turnover part of our business, you could never see somebody again and have no idea. And you're just like, I fucking hope I helped you. Like, I have no idea. And you were like one of the first people that I was like, oh my God, it does make a difference. Like what I'm doing, it is. Like it was one of the first affirming people that I was like, and we need that. That is what the divine energy exchange is. It's okay that we can't just give and never receive. That's okay. That's allowed. None of us are expected to just do that. This exact same as none of us should expect to only receive and never give. But Kaylee and I have this really unique experience with each other where we played such integral roles in each other's lives without even like realizing it. And it's literally because we just showed up and we're like, I'm going to give it my all. It's so scary, but I am. And look what it does. Like, I have like so many chilies. Goosebumps. But they're chills too. I was like, I'm not chilly. Sorry. That came out all wrong. Okay, so one of the main things and reasons I want to have Kaylee on today is because Kaylee and I do like what we tell our accountants is a business breakfast, like once a month, but really we catch up. No, but we do talk about business. And we do support each other a lot. You gotta have like biz besties and stuff. You gotta create your own community in this entrepreneur world. You have to. And one thing that you and I talk a lot about that I think is why our meetings and when we hang out is so rejuvenating is we talk about our social media and talk about our marketing strategy. What's working, what's not. We listen to each other's, we offer each other stuff. It is, I get so much value out of my time with you because it just feels good, but I'm also like, man, and I feel really motivated again. I'm always re-inspired because I'm like, that's right, this is why we do what we do. It can be really isolating being an entrepreneur. It really can because you're working so hard. You're doing every department's work. You are the HR, the shipping, the you know what I mean, the social media. You're everything, and it feels so alone. Even if you have like people in your family and friends that support you, it can still feel. They don't get it though. They can't relate to you, and so having like in creating and cultivating community is so important. And I think that it really helps combat this massive social media burnout that we're all experiencing. We're gonna get into that today because I think that I don't know about for you, Kaylee, but it's one of my top struggles of all of my clients lately. And myself. I'm not removed from that at all. It's been particularly draining. And I've been really working on rewiring. And I know that you have been having your own journey with all of it too.
Yes. My journey with social media has been interesting, to say the least.
It's not easy.
So personally, I love to sit on social media for inspiration. So I like to hang out on Pinterest a lot. TikTok has been a new favorite because lately I'm just like, there's so many cool people in this world, and TikTok has some really good inspirational humans there. So
a lot of creativity.
So much.
TikTok reminds me of a mini YouTube. Mini meaning the videos are shorter because that's how YouTube is. It's a much broader and frankly more accepting audience. It's not aesthetic based the way that Pinterest and Instagram and Tumblr are. You can show up scrubby as fuck and no one cares. If whatever you're talking about makes us laugh or it's interesting or teaches us something, TikTok loves you. And that's what I really love about it.
Yeah, so my relationship with it has been interesting because for the longest time, I go back and forth with love-hate. I love Instagram, or I love social media. I hate social media.
Yeah, I definitely relate to that. Yeah.
Yes, and it fluctuates a lot. So now I personally have kind of disregarded my personal accounts, like Facebook and Instagram on my personal. I can't remember the last time I
post for people's birthdays, and I post cute pics of my kids sometimes. That's literally all.
Well, when you're an entrepreneur, as I'm sure you know, we are on it all the time. And our gears are turning. We're thinking about it all the time. So,
and if you post on your personal, you know you're opening yourself up to have to talk to more people, and you already spend all day responding to DMs, trying to get people to comment and engage. That sometimes I don't post because I'm like, no, people are going to comment on it, and I don't want to respond to anybody today.
So it's so interesting, and first and foremost, if you are struggling with social media, start to follow social media experts that you align with. Because I wouldn't say I'm a social media expert, but I have been able to really
You're good. I mean it. No, you changed my relationship with social media. That's why I always, whenever you're down about it, I'm like, I just give it right back and build you back up because I'm like, no, you trust me, you got this.
Yeah, I show up a lot. So on Instagram, I'm showing up probably 5 days a week. I've cut down a little bit on weekends just because my brain's fried by the end of the week, and I found a lot of other people aren't entrepreneur-wise aren't on, so it's okay to take those breaks.
I clock out.
Yeah. So follow people that inspire you. Follow people that have a positive relationship with social media that are going to tell you the same. Because when you can kind of turn your brain a little bit and say, I like social media because of this, or even better, I want to have these intentions with social media.
Yes.
And so when we were working together and when you sign up for the Design to Shine experience, you receive an entire educational portion on social media.
That's why it's transforming. You could have given me that brand, and that would have, had that been the end all be all, and I wouldn't be talking about the transformation I am without the educational and support portion of that program. No way. Because I had no idea what I was doing. Most of us don't. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
So, is it okay if I touch on what's included with that?
1,000%.
Because
I want you to. I was going to ask you at the end anyways. Do it right now.
Okay, cool. Yep. I want to talk about why I created it, because I think why I created it is really essential. So the Design to Shine experience is my signature offer. It's brand and website design. And when I say it's brand and website design, there's so much more in it. So there's a lot. And I'm not going to overstimulate you because there's a lot you can find on my website, eclecticdesigns.co. But I created this program because when I was in corporate, I was doing the marketing. I was doing the social media. So I was learning a lot of okay, what works with social media? What do people want from social media? And time again, people want to connect with you.
Yep.
And it's that personal side. They want to know who you are. And that's why video does so well. That's why you're sitting here watching this, because you'd rather see who we are as people compared to just listen to our voices.
Yeah.
So
it deepens our connection, like that real human connection. I totally agree.
Yeah. So in this offer and program, I sit with you and we go into the strategic side of it. So we're going into brand coaching, and it's not just hey, here's a brand, have fun with it. I teach you how to design. So everything that you see Danny creating, I helped guide her into, and something I love this. If you're a creative and you love to create and you love to embrace that creative side, I encourage that wholeheartedly, absolutely. I love nothing more than to give your brand to you and you say, heck yes, I can't wait to apply this on brochures and flyers and social media. And I teach you how to design things to get that aesthetic that you want, because I want you to have fun with your brand and your business. And when you can,
it should inspire you.
Yes.
When you look at the stuff someone designed for you, it should make you excited. Yes. I always get excited when I get to design.
It makes me so happy because I think everybody should be able to learn how to design, especially with Canva. If you use Canva, and it's funny because a lot of graphic designers are like, I hate Canva because it's taking over our jobs. And I was like, I love it because graphic designers are already creating for you, and for us solopreneurs and small businesses, it is taking our business to a new level. So I have trainings on that as well. But within the offer, and I was teaching you, is learning how to apply that to social media and get creative with it. Because even in my own business, again, if you go back and look at my Instagram, I would just not show up, because with my brand that I was packaging myself and putting myself into a box, I would sit there for over 2 hours trying to create a post.
That's exactly what my experience was. Or I wouldn't do it at all.
Yeah.
Because I was so uninspired or not excited or down on my skill set about it. I was like, I can't even do this. It doesn't look as good as if I paid someone to do it. And that's why I paid someone to teach me how to do it.
And when you have a brand that you align with, and this is, I'm going to go back to the beginning when she said I asked her what her favorite colors were. Let me tell you, nothing killed my mood more when people told me and professors told me, you can't include your favorite colors because your favorite color isn't going to connect with your audience. And bullshit. Yeah. I'm going to say it.
Why? That makes no sense. If you're attracting aligned clients, that's not true. I agree. No.
So I always ask what your favorite color is, or at least close to, and then I include it in your branding. And the reason being is because it's not like we're using primary colors out here, people. We are using shades and tints, and there's so much. So if your favorite color is blue and you're a holistic provider, guess what? That's amazing, because blue is a very common color. But as for Danny likes those darker, rich tones, earthy tones. Whereas I have other clients who want the very light and airy, the very, Easter type of, why am I trying to Pastels, thank you. So
and I wanted chunky. Colors. I wanted contrast, and I needed a lot of black. I was like, I wear a lot of black. I love the color black. It's a part of my magic, like my candles and tools. I've got to have it has to be a main color. And actually, I told her my favorite color was purple. But I had been getting really drawn, remember, to the super deep, deep navy blue out of nowhere. And I've always loved mustard because it's just great. Classic, vintage, timeless color. God, I love mustard. Why do you think I just like bomb you guys with that color in my branding all the time? I love it. And the best part is that I already dressed that way. That was part of the brand coaching she gave me, that's why using your favorite colors does connect, because you already show up that way. It's a whole other layer of brand consistency. And I really do now, like when I go on lives, when I'm on here, I feel like I match my brand. That's the best part of it all. I love that, because if you've ever tried to design your own without a designer or someone that didn't have you in mind, then you know what it feels like to feel so disconnected from your business.
It feels
and
forced.
It is disheartening. Yeah, it is. It's so disheartening. It really is. Your program, not only like did you take such dedicated, and this is designed to shine, like such dedicated time to actually talk with me and create the brand, because I'm one of those people that I'm really good at describing, but I don't know how to make it come to life. I'm not an artist in that way. That's not where my artistry comes from. And so I can describe stuff, and then she would come and be like, here's a little bit of the things that I'm working on. I'm like, oh my God, how did you make exactly what I was describing without knowing that's what I was describing? But then we started shifting into this strategic side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Not just strategic for business and branding, but for social media posting, for life-work balance. Like, you were the first person to really teach me business basics and fundamentals.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, circling back to social media, is I was teaching you how to show up in a way that felt right for you. And It was so funny. When I first started working with Danny, she said, I'm not doing videos.
Is that not the most hilarious thing? To any of you who've been following me for even like a month, you're like, what? I literally told her in January of this fucking year, I was like, do not tell me to do video, and do not tell me to get on TikTok. I said that. I was like, no, I'm not doing video. And she's like, well, I mean, you could like try something new. I was like, I mean, that's good advice, but still. Because I was like, absolutely not. No. You do need someone. You're really good at like supporting and still offering, like, it's okay to go outside your comfort zone a little bit. I love that about you.
Because the beautiful thing with social media is it's your social media.
Yes.
I had a social media expert on my podcast, Mad Creative Co.
It sounds great.
Yeah, I'm going to have Danny link it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love her stuff because she always promotes that your social media is your world. It is your digital world. Just like with MySpace. My MySpace people out there.
Yes. That's what you told me.
The custom profiles that you would make for yourself, you can do the same exact thing with the social media you're on right now.
Yep.
Brand it to have it align with you and show up with what feels good to you. I think my favorite part about social media is I could show up dressed up like this, looking cute, but it's also okay because you're a human being to show up with your hair up like you just rolled out of bed.
Yep.
Because you can create that as who you are as a brand, and that's okay. You don't have to show up inauthentic, or you don't have to wait till, this is my favorite. I used to not do videos too because I used to say, well, I have to wait until I shower.
Yeah, exactly. I would be like, well, I have to get ready for the day. That's why I don't do it. And now, first of all, there's lots of tricks you can do, and you can put a filter on if you really need to. It's so much easier than you think.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to show up than you think when you stop trying to show up the way you think you're supposed to, and you just show up how you want to. And you really are the first person who told me. You were like, you need to just like, choose 3 platforms that you actually want and enjoy being on. And I was like, really? Because I'm on many that I absolutely hate. And yeah, you were like, don't put energy there. Stop right now. And that was one of the other first times someone like handed me the keys to my own car, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't have to go on Facebook. Weird. Got it. Won't go on Facebook. And then, how many days? I was like, well, I assume I have to do it every day. And you're like, I mean, that's what I do. It works for you, right? Kailee shows up a lot, like she said. Did you know that I post on Instagram, like, you guys are like, yeah, I do, because I follow you, and you only post like 2 or 3 times a week. Correct. I am not sorry for it, because that's what works with my flow right now. I go through weeks and phases where I'm on a lot more, but it still has to align with me. That's what you taught me, was, yes, you're the first person to teach me business from an alignment approach instead of this is what gets you sales. This is what gets you followers. And by the way, anybody that coaches you, this is how you get more followers, is not a very quality coach. I'm going to just say that. I'm not sorry for that at all.
Sorry, not sorry.
No.
So when I went through my own transition and was learning how to reconnect with myself, and we both work with the same business coach, Kate.
Yep. Kate Visser.
I'm sure that Danny has talked about her multiple times. But I signed up with Kate, and even the transition that happened between me working before Kate and now working with her, I think we've been working together well over a year now. She's also helped me embody even more of who I am authentically. And so I have a very high energy, bubbly personality. I'm a very happy person. But man, I was going through the roughs over the last couple months. Yeah. And so finally one day I showed up and I said, you know what? I would love to show up and give you some really awesome information about branding today, but I'm burnt out. So I just was really honest, and the amount of feedback, and I think you forget this, I forget this, we all forget this. Yep. Human connection is what we all desire. That's what it comes down to. Yes, we're on there with our business trying to sell some of our stuff because we want to help people, but we're helping people. That's the human connection.
Exactly.
And just remember that when you're showing up as who you are, you're going to attract the people that you want in your circle. I attracted Danny. Danny said she trusted me because I was showing up on social media and being exactly who I was. Yep. So when she showed up to, learning more about my program on our discovery call, I wasn't somebody different. I was exactly who I am. I'm exactly who I am talking to you right now on the calls and when we're working together, because why would I want to be someone else when we work together? I want to be the same person.
It makes your clients be authentic. I felt comfortable being my whole self with you because I knew you were already being your whole self with me. How do we ask for people's trust and booking big sales and stuff like that with us if we're too afraid or shameful of who we are and showing up as ourselves? Right? So, Kailee, my question for you today, kind of for a big ending note for us to wrap up on, is you and I have talked about today how we both understand these struggles, very, very firsthand. What is your advice? How would somebody get started today? Someone that was feeling the way that we were feeling, that burnout, lack of creativity. There's definitely, let's be honest, either very little to zero social media strategy, right? There's Kailee and I post, and we have strategy behind what we post. We schedule ahead. Even if it's not perfect by the book every month, some months are more organized than others. I don't know about you. Yeah, I was it depends. Sometimes I'm winging it, all right? But you start to get a flow, so it's easier to wing it. But someone that's feeling that way and having no strategy, I think that the biggest question they get is, or the biggest challenge is, they're like, great, I know that there's something to fix in my social media relationship. I know I need a strategy. What the fuck do I do? How do I do that? Where do I even begin? How would you advise them?
First and foremost, I'm going to probably think, since we all listen to Danny's podcast together, because I listen to it as well, you're most likely a spiritual, holistic, wholehearted type of person. Mm-hmm. So I really, really want to give you permission to, this is going to sound weird with what I'm going to say, but take a break from social media. And no matter, whether it's a day, 2 days, a week, whatever works for you. And I want you to reconnect with yourself in whatever way that is. And I want you to think about your why. this is my favorite thing to ask people, and this is why I have my podcast. Why do you do what you do?
Does it sound familiar? Part 1, anybody? Hello, do you see? It's not bullshit. I don't make it up. It's very important to answer that question.
Yes.
And you should ask it at least a couple of times a year to yourself.
Oh, absolutely, because it's going to change. It's going to pivot. So why do you do what you do? That's really important. Mm-hmm. And then the second one, who are you and who do you want to be when you show up with your business? Not separate. Your business isn't separate.
Right.
Your business is connected to you. So as an entity, who do you want to be with your business? And then number 3 is who do you want to attract? Who are your dream clients? So these 3 things. Who exactly do you want to work with? I'm not talking don't be broad. Oh, I want to work with coffee shops. I want to work with like very broad. I want you to really narrow it down. I want to work with passionate entrepreneurs. I want to work with creatives, and I want to work with holistic providers. Danny is all 3 of those. Hers is more spiritual. Holistic, spiritual, are they kind of the same thing?
Holistic, from what I understand, more means like it's a completely encompassed approach to something. It means you're taking into consideration all aspects of something, not just the professional, but like the emotional as well. That's what I used to think holistic meant, all natural. And it actually means like taking everything into consideration. So someone that has a holistic approach should include your humanness, if that makes Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Those define who my ideal dream clients are. And I want you to just think about it. Really sit with yourself. And this could be in all sorts of forms. I know Danny always encourages journaling a lot. Sometimes I get burnt out on journaling. So lately I've been working with a new therapist, and this is something I love. She has been having me create Gosh, I have the hiccups. She's having me create my own mood boards, my own vision boards.
Well, did we also talk about that last time, everybody? Again.
Very creative.
Proof.
Yes, just get in touch with who you are. Because when you can kind of understand this and then decide your next strategic, this is where the strategy is going to come in. Once you can identify all 3 of those, think of what your next strategic step is. Mm-hmm. Do you need to invest in a business coach? Do you need to invest in a brand and website designer that aligns with who you are? What do you need in order to bring to life those 3 key things? And that is going to really help you on your next part of your journey.
Absolutely. I really could not agree more. And I think that number 1 step is so important, that break. I agree. You would think on the surface it sounds counterintuitive, and it's actually not at all. Think of it as like a reset. Because if you just keep forcing yourself to show up without taking that little break to really reconfigure, it shows. I'm just trying to tell you, when you feel, I'm going to lay some hard truths on you right now, because I know that a lot of you are struggling with this. If you feel really burnt out on social media, and very bitter and frustrated with the algorithm and the reach and how hard it is on small business. And I'm not saying none of those are invalid, because they are. But if you are bitter and angry and resentful about it, I promise you it's showing. It's showing. Even if you think it's not showing, it's showing. Because that's part of our energy, right? It is. And so it's just like kitchen magic, like we talk about. Your emotions and shit go into what you're in the middle of creating. And social media is something that you create. You're putting that energy into it. And sometimes what you need is that step back to get some shit into perspective. This is why we've been working on a lot of self-emotional regulation around here, because it's an important part of this, well, life and business process. Not just business, but for this human thing. Like, emotional regulation is huge. And this helps us have a healthier relationship, I think, with social media. We don't have this like unhealthy attachment to it, and we don't feel so angry or intimidated of it that we avoid it. We really create our own experience on there. So I want all of you to follow Kailee, and I'm going to have her plug all of her stuff, but I'm going to first tell you that you need to. I am not kidding you when I tell you that this is the first person that taught me everything I know about social media strategy. This is literally, I said, I am not showing up on video. Do not tell me to do that. And what, a month? A month later, I did my first Instagram live and I was like, okay, that was kind of fun. I kind of liked it. And now, hi, Monday Musings. I do that every single week because I was like, okay, I really like video. It's actually a lot easier, and I actually do enjoy it. And like, you never know. So I agree with Kaylee's advice to like really start expanding on who you follow and stuff like that. You need to follow people like Kaylee who are not only these like you said, giving this educational content for business and branding, but they are coming from this intuitive, authentic place. There are a lot of people not like that, but there are people like this.
Mm-hmm. I think something that I see often, and it kind of hurts my heart a little, is these brand and website designers that are saying, this is what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't like to take that approach because from my own experience as a child, I was told I was doing things wrong all the time, and I still carry those. So I'm also conscious of that. Is I don't want to tell you, oh, well, you're doing this wrong. Danny never once heard me say, well, don't do that. Nope. It just was like, okay, well, how's this working for you? Like, we work through it together, and I just give suggestions. I'm not going to tell you what to do, what not to do. I'm just here to educate you, to help you realign with who you are and walk away really loving what you're doing with your brand, loving and reconnecting with your why, with the passion behind what you do. Because there's nothing that fills my soul more than seeing my clients feel confident in themselves again and just know that they have support behind it too. So I thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
And thank you for watching and listening. Just having you here and being able to take this information in, that's a really big step too. Because that's where I started. I was listening to podcasts. I was listening to watching YouTube videos and learning, because we have to support each other at the end of the day. And there's resources out there. You're not alone, I promise.
Exactly. And if you are somebody who is struggling with this part, with the marketing, with the branding, the visuals, the consistency, the feeling that connection to your brand and how it looks, and applying all of that to a website, to social media, graphics, logo, everything, Kaylee, tell us where we can find you and how to work with you so you can help everybody.
Yes, so I hang out primarily on Instagram, so I would love for us to connect there. My DMs are always open if you have questions or if there's something that maybe resonated with you. It would mean a lot to me. It shows that, like, you know, being guests on other podcasts, that, like, my voice is being heard and I'm putting out the right info, because I even still question, like, oh, and what I'm putting out matters. So eclecticdesigns.co, it's across the board on Instagram and then my website. So if you are a little bit further along and you really want to have a very solid and confident direction in your brand and website design, Design to Shine experience would be for you. It's a 12-week transformational offer that I have. But if you're newer and you're not ready and you're just kind of feeling really stuck and you need a little bit of support with direction, I have a really, really fun offer called a Brand Visionary Session, and we work on your overall aesthetic, and I teach you how to apply a new color palette and overall brand aesthetic. And that's one of my favorite ones for newer entrepreneurs. This really kind of helps you understand the importance of having consistency in your brand. And we get to have a one-on-one session. So I get to learn about you and really help you in your next steps in your journey.
I did the visionary session first before I booked her Design to Shine program. And that's exactly why I booked it, because I learned so much in one session. I was like, well, I'm not letting you out of my sight, so you're not going anywhere. There was no way. I was like, nope, this is not slipping out of my fingers, because I am going to show all of you as part of like this little mini series I did anyways. Kaylee will probably have some on her profile as well, but I am going to start showing you guys some before and after stuff of what my shit used to look like. And I don't mean to use the term shit so endearingly, but at the same time. All right, this was the best. Do you see? Do you see why I love her so much? She's the best. Now, we'll have Kailee on again. You'll definitely see her again, and maybe we'll do like a more spiritual-y one too. That would be really, really fun. Yes. This was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I love you.
I just I'm so sweaty. I was so nervous talking to you all, so.
Listen, this is a safe space in the cave. We are who we are. We show up. We laugh. We cry. We sweat. It doesn't matter. Okay? All right. Everybody, thank you so much again for joining us for another episode here at That Witch Podcast. Kailee, thank you for joining us. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend and stay magical out there.
Bye.